Welcome back to the deep dive where we dig into the sources for you.
And get straight to the point.
Exactly.
Ugh.
So today we're tackling a phase of life that's, well, incredibly intense metabolically.
Right. People compare it to infancy, that level of rapid growth. We're talking about adolescence.
That critical window, roughly 11 to 21 years old, where basically a child becomes an adult.
Physically, emotionally, cognitively.
Yeah.
It's a massive transformation.
A huge amount of change.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it creates this double jeopardy situation. Metabolically, the demands are just enormous. Nutrient needs shoot way up.
Higher than almost any other time.
Pretty much. So our mission today is really to pull out the key nutritional insights for this period. But, and this is the tricky part, we have to consider the teenager's mindset too, that drive for independence.
Yeah, that's the central conflict, isn't it? That our sources really highlight.
Yes.
Your body needs the absolute maximum nutrition, but behaviorally, well, they're often pushing back.
Right. Seeking autonomy, peer acceptance. It often leads to things like meal skipping, relying on convenience foods.
Things that don't exactly support those huge nutrient needs. It's like biology versus behavior.
The classic standoff.
So
Yeah.
where do we start to understand the nutritional side?
Well, the first thing you have to do is kind of toss the calendar out the window.
Really? Chronological age isn't the key.
It's actually a pretty poor predictor for nutritional needs during puberty. What matters way more is biological age.
Ah, okay. And how do we gauge that? Is that where SMR comes in?
Exactly. Sexual maturation rating, or SMR. You might also know it as Tanner stages.
Right, I've heard of Tanner stages.
Yeah, it's the gold standard. It assesses where a teen is in puberty based on physical development, secondary sex characteristics. It goes from stage 1, prepubertal, up to stage 5, which is full adult maturity.
So it lets you pinpoint their growth spurt.
Precisely. It helps health professionals tailor advice based on where that individual actually is in their growth journey, not just their age in years.
And that timing is really different for boys and girls, right?
Massively different. On average, about a 2.5-year difference. Girls typically start earlier.
Okay, so that creates two totally separate growth stories.
Completely. Let's look at females first.
Uh-huh.
Their big linear growth spurt, getting taller, often kicks in around SMR stage 2.
Okay.
And it usually peaks about 6 to 12 months before their first period, menarche, which is typically around age 12 and a half.
And weight gain follows that height spurt.
Usually by about 3 to 6 months, yeah.
Oh.
But here's the really big physiological shift for girls. Body composition. Their average body fat increases dramatically, like from around 16% up to maybe 26% by the time they're fully mature.
Wow, that's a huge jump.
It's about a 120% increase in body fat mass. And it's necessary physiologically.
That must be tough psychologically, though. We'll probably come back to that.
Oh, definitely. Now compare that to males.
Yeah.
Their growth spurt hits much later. Yeah. The peak for linear growth is around 14.4 years on average. And for them, that peak height spurt happens at the same time as peak weight gain and peak muscle mass accumulation.
So more muscle, less fat change.
Exactly. Their body fat percentage actually decreases during puberty, ending up around 12% typically.
So completely different trajectories. One storing necessary fat, the other building lean mass.
Right. And those differences dictate caloric needs, protein needs,
Yeah.
everything.
But one thing's happening for everyone, regardless of gender.
Yes. Building the skeleton. Bone mass.
Ah, okay. Crucial.
This is probably the single most important nutritional window for long-term bone health. Think about this. Almost half of an adult's peak bone mass is laid down during these adolescent years.
Yeah.
So getting enough of those key bone nutrients, calcium, vitamin D, phosphorus, it's absolutely essential right now. It's like depositing into your bone bank for the future, protects against osteoporosis decades later.
So not getting enough now has really long-term consequences.
Huge long-term consequences.
Okay, so the body's going through all this intense change, but the mind is also developing, and that affects how we talk to teens about this stuff, right?
Absolutely. Their thinking changes dramatically. We usually break it down into 3 stages. First, early adolescence.
Ages, what, 11 to 14?
Roughly, yeah. And at this stage, their thinking is very concrete, very focused on the here and now, and frankly, pretty egocentric.
So long-term health messages don't really land.
Not effectively. Telling them, eat broccoli to avoid heart disease when you're 50 is just abstract noise. Doesn't compute.
So you have to focus on immediate benefits.
Exactly. Things they care about now. Clearer skin, having more energy for sports, feeling stronger today, tangible stuff.
And peer influence is huge then, too.
Oh, enormous. It shapes everything, what's cool, what's not, food preferences, even things like concerns about sustainability versus grabbing fast food.
Okay, then comes middle adolescence,
Mhm.
15 to 17-ish.
Yep. And this could be a really challenging phase.
Mhm.
Physical growth might be slowing down a bit, and they're starting to develop abstract thinking. But
There's a but.
there's a but. They often still have that feeling of invincibility. They struggle to really connect what they do today, like, say, crash dieting or skipping meals, with negative consequences later.
So risk assessment isn't quite there yet.
Not consistently.
Yeah.
Especially under stress, they can revert right back to concrete thinking and peer influence on food choices. It probably peaks right here.
Making that behavioral resistance even stronger.
You got it.
Okay, what about late adolescence, 18 to 21?
Things tend to stabilize a bit more then. Abstract thought becomes more reliable. They develop a stronger sense of personal identity.
So they can understand future consequences.
Generally, yes. This is when counseling about reducing long-term chronic disease risk actually starts to make sense to them. Their focus shifts more towards personal choice, though convenience often dictates food decisions.
Right, busy lives, maybe living away from home.
Exactly. So counseling needs to adapt, focusing on practical choices, maybe motivational interviewing techniques.
And woven through all of this, especially for girls dealing with that big body fat increase.
Is body image dissatisfaction.
Yeah.
It's incredibly common.
Because society tells them one thing, but their biology is doing another.
Precisely. So education about what's normal variation in growth, the necessity of that fat gain for females, is so important for promoting a positive self-image.
And what about boys?
For boys, especially those who mature a bit later than their peers, they might feel physically inadequate. That can sometimes drive them towards using unproven supplements or unhealthy behaviors to try and catch up.
So understanding the normal range of development is key for everyone.
Essential.
Okay, so we have the physical changes, the mental shifts. How does this play out in actual eating habits?
Well, when that teenage desire for autonomy meets the modern food environment, you see some specific patterns emerge that really challenge getting enough nutrients.
Like what?
Our sources talk about a model. You can picture it like concentric circles. At the center is the individual, their preferences, knowledge, body image.
Yeah.
Then the interpersonal layer, family, friends, peers. Then environmental factors, what food is available at school, at home, access to fast food places.
Yeah.
And the outer layer is the macro system, media messages, cultural norms, socioeconomic status.
So all these things influence what a teen actually eats.
They all interact.
Yeah.
And one huge behavior that pops out is snacking.
Ah, yes, the snacking economy.
Exactly. Snacks account for maybe a quarter of a teen's total daily calories.
A quarter? That's significant.
It is. And unfortunately, about 36% of their added sugar intake comes from snacks too.
Oof, not great.
Not ideal. But snacks also contribute important stuff. Fiber, protein, vitamins. So the goal isn't necessarily to stop the snacking.
But to improve the quality of the snack.
Precisely. Swap the chips for fruit, the candy bar for yogurt, that kind of thing. Make the snacks count nutritionally.
Makes sense. What else? Meal skipping.
Big one. Breakfast is the most commonly skipped meal. Data suggests maybe less than 3/4 of teens eat breakfast daily.
Wow, and why does that matter?
Well, skipping meals, especially breakfast, is linked pretty strongly to lower intakes of really key nutrients. We're talking fiber, calcium, folate, protein.
The very things they need for growth, like that bone mass we talked about.
Exactly. If they skip meals, they're missing crucial opportunities to get those nutrients in.
And eating away from home, that's common too, right?
Very common. Over a third of their daily energy might be consumed outside the home.
Which often means less control over ingredients, portion sizes.
Right. Which contrasts really interestingly with the data on family meals.
Ah, yes. Family meals have a protective effect.
They seem to.
Yeah.
Teens who eat regular family meals, say 3 or more times a week, tend to have better diets overall.
Better how?
A higher intake of fruits, vegetables, calcium-rich foods like dairy. And interestingly, they also tend to engage in fewer risky behaviors in general.
So carving out time for family meals can make a real
It
difference.
seems so. Now, another area is specialized diets, like vegetarianism.
Okay, how common is that?
About 5% of adolescents identify as vegetarian, according to the sources.
And are there nutritional concerns?
It depends on the type. A well-planned lacto-ovo vegetarian diet can be perfectly healthy, but the risks increase the more restrictive the diet gets.
Like with vegan diets.
Exactly. For vegan teens, you really need to pay close attention to certain nutrients. Calcium, zinc, iron are big ones. Also, long-chain omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin D, and key B vitamins like B6 and especially B12, which is only found reliably in animal products.
So careful planning and possibly supplementation are needed.
Often, yes.
Huh?
And one other important point, it's crucial to screen vegetarian teens, particularly if the choice seems sudden or very rigid for underlying disordered eating patterns or chronic dieting. Sometimes restricting food groups can mask a bigger issue.
Good point. A need for sensitivity there.
Definitely.
All right, let's nail down some specific requirements. Energy and protein must be high on the list.
Absolutely sky high. Needs are driven by their activity level, their basal metabolic rate, and just the sheer energy cost of that rapid pubertal growth.
And boys need more calories generally because of the muscle mass.
Generally, yes. That greater lean body mass accrual means higher overall energy needs. Protein requirements are also slightly higher than for adults. The recommendation is 0.85 grams per kilogram of body weight per day.
And not meeting those needs
Can really impact things. It can lead to impaired growth, delayed sexual maturation.
Yeah.
It's serious.
Okay. Now, you mentioned calcium earlier as critical. Let's dive into that.
This is arguably one of the biggest disconnects. The official recommendation, the DRI, for 9 to 18-year-olds is 1,300 milligrams of calcium per day.
1,300. Got it.
But national survey data paints a pretty bleak picture, especially for girls. On average, female adolescents are consuming only around 813 milligrams a day.
Wow, that's way off. Almost 500 milligrams short.
Way off. And remember, this is happening during that absolute peak time for building bone mass. They're essentially missing the window to maximize their skeletal strength for life. It's inadequate bone insurance.
A real public health concern. What about iron?
Iron needs also jump up significantly. Why? Well, rapid growth requires more blood volume. Simple as that. Plus, for females, the onset of menstruation, menarche, increases iron losses.
So when are needs highest?
It's slightly different timing. For males, iron requirements peak during their main growth spurt. For females, the highest need is actually after menarche begins to replace those monthly losses.
Are there disparities in iron status?
Unfortunately, yes. Iron deficiency is about twice as common among Black and Mexican-American female adolescents and also among teens from lower-income families.
Okay, so calcium and iron are major concerns. What's the overall picture of diet quality?
Generally, not great. Very few adolescents meet the recommendations for fruits and vegetables. Less than 8% meet the fruit intake goal, for example.
Less than 8%. Yikes.
Yeah. And on the flip side, their diets tend to exceed the limits for things we want less of: total fat, saturated fat, sodium, and especially added sugars.
Where are the added sugars coming from, mainly?
Soft drinks are a huge contributor. Candy, sweetened baked goods, desserts, the usual suspects.
So if you had to list the nutrients most likely to be lacking the big concerns for public health.
Based on the data, the key nutrients of concern for inadequacy are fiber, calcium, magnesium, vitamin D, and also choline. Phosphorus is needed for bones too, but intake is usually okay. It's really that group: fiber, calcium, magnesium, vitamin D, choline.
The critical list to keep in mind.
Okay, so knowing all this, how do we actually help? How do we intervene effectively?
Right, what's the practical application? Screening must be step one.
Absolutely. Annual screening is recommended. Basic stuff: height, weight, calculate BMI, and then plot it on the BMI-for-age growth charts.
And those charts help identify risk.
Yeah, they flag kids who might be underweight, that's below the 5th percentile, or overweight, which is the 85th up to the 95th percentile, and obesity, which is at or above the 95th percentile.
And if a teen falls into one of those risk categories?
Then you need further assessment. That usually involves looking more closely at their diet. Maybe a 24-hour recall asking them everything they ate yesterday, or sometimes food records where they write down what they eat over a few days. There are standard tools for this.
Okay, assessment done. What about counseling? Talking to teens about this stuff seems tricky.
It definitely requires a specific approach. Rapport is everything. You have to treat them as individuals, build trust. Lecturing just doesn't work.
So what does work?
Focus on maybe 1 or 2 small, achievable goals at a time. Make them concrete. And, this is crucial, involve the adolescent in setting those goals.
Let them have ownership.
Exactly. Behavior change is much more likely to stick if the teen feels like it was their idea, or at least they had a say in choosing the goal.
And we have to meet them where they are, technologically speaking.
Oh, absolutely. We can't ignore technology. Using apps, social media, even text messaging or email, these can be really effective ways to share health info, provide support, and deliver nutrition messages in channels they're already using constantly.
Makes sense. Go where the audience is.
Right. But it's not just about counseling the individual. We also need to think about their environment.
Starting with the home.
Yep. Parents are still huge influences, even with teenagers. They're often the gatekeepers for food in the house. And the research is pretty clear. Simply having healthy foods readily available at home is linked to teens eating more of those foods, and also tends to correlate with a lower BMI.
So stock the fridge with fruits and veggies.
It makes a difference. Be a good role model with your own eating habits, too.
Okay, home environment. What about schools? They spend so much time there.
Schools are a massive opportunity. The ideal approach is something called the whole school, whole community, whole child model, WSCC for short.
WSCC, what does that involve?
It's comprehensive. It integrates health education in the curriculum, quality physical education, mental and social support services, and critically, the nutrition environment itself.
Like the cafeteria.
Exactly. And also vending machines, school stores. This is where regulations like the smart snacks in schools standards come in.
Ah, I've heard of those. They set nutrition criteria for foods sold at school.
That's right. During school hours, any food sold has to meet specific limits on calories, fat, sugar, and sodium, and provide some positive nutrients. It aims to make the healthier choice easier.
Which leads nicely into that idea of behavioral economics, or nudging.
Precisely. Nudging is all about designing the environment to make the healthy choice the easy, almost automatic choice, without restricting options completely.
Can you give some examples?
Sure, simple things can work, like placing attractive displays of fruit or salads right at the beginning of the cafeteria line.
So it's the first thing they see?
Right, or pricing healthier options more competitively than less healthy ones. Even just using verbal prompts can make a difference.
Like what?
A cafeteria worker simply asking, would you like some carrots or maybe the roasted sweet potatoes with that, instead of just asking if they want fries. That small nudge significantly increases the uptake of the healthier side dishes.
Making the healthy choice easy and appealing.
That's the core idea. #outro.
Wow. Okay, so this deep dive really underscores what a turbulent yet absolutely critical period of adolescence is.
It really is.
We've seen it's defined by these powerful intersecting forces, that profound biological change best tracked by SMR, not just age.
Yep. Biological age is key.
Then there are those significant nutrient gaps, especially concerning for calcium, iron, and fiber.
Huge gaps we need to address.
And it's all happening alongside these major behavioral shifts, driven by that journey from concrete thinking toward abstract thought and autonomy.
The psychosocial piece is inseparable from the nutrition piece.
So what's the final thought you want to leave our listeners with, that final provocative idea?
I think it comes back to the long-term impact. The stakes are incredibly high during adolescence. Remember, nearly half of adult peak bone mass gets built right here.
Right, that bone bank idea.
Exactly. And the eating patterns, the relationship with food, the exposure to different food environments, these things established now often track right into adulthood, for better or worse.
So the choices aren't just about today's energy or fitting into genes.
Not at all. The choices made and the environments we help shape during this tumultuous time, they aren't just fleeting. They are fundamentally laying the groundwork, determining health outcomes decades down the line. The healthy adult of tomorrow is quite literally being built today.
That's a really powerful reminder of why understanding and supporting adolescent nutrition is so vital. It pays dividends for a lifetime.
Couldn't agree more.
Thank you so much for walking us through that complex picture. And thank you, our listeners, for joining us for this deep dive.